Well, this is exciting. Mojang have just released an experimental snapshot that introduces a lot of the features from the Minecraft 1.19 Deep Dark. I don't have my Optifine Zoom. I don't know what to do without my Optifine Zoom. I guess I could use... It's not called a telescope, is it? Ah! I'm getting distracted. Look at all this stuff. We have got Sculk sensors. We've got the Sculk. Apparently, Sculk is considered a redstone block. Sculk veins also considered a redstone block. We've got Sculk catalysts and also Sculk shriekers. This is all very exciting indeed. I just had to try it out, you know? I had to give it a go. It was in the redstone section, alright? I thought my dream of bluestone had finally come to pass. So today's video is all about getting to grips with all of these new additions to Minecraft and just seeing what we can do with them. By the way, every single time that you see me do this, just imagine that the camera is zooming into my face. And now, let's kill an ender dragon. I'm gonna place one of these right here, and I just want to see how much Sculk is generated from this lovely lady. Let's see how good my speedrunning skills are. She's gone off somewhere. Also, I just practiced exploding a bed, and the Sculk catalyst has been completely destroyed. So, okay, they're not blast resistant. That's good to know. I don't know if I'm doing this right at all. I can take ya! I can take ya! This is not working. I feel like this is not the technique one should use. How many beds? How many beds? Yes! Right. Is it gonna work? Do we even get Sculk from this? We didn't even get any Sculk! Well, we learnt a lot from that. We learnt that I'm never going to make a career of speedrunning, ever. Like, absolutely not. And that sadly, the Ender Dragon does not just convert the entire End Island into a giant piece of Sculk, which is kind of disappointing. But wait, you may have noticed in the clip where I killed the Ender Dragon, as the portal is ignited, the Sculk catalyst actually gets removed. So I just did it again, making sure that the Sculk catalyst was outside of the zone, and as you can see, there is still no Sculk. It's an absolute heartbreaker. But I'm not done with the end just yet, because the end provides us with incredibly fast mob farms. You see, if I build an Enderman farm out here, we are going to be getting maximum spawn rates, which means we are going to be getting the maximum amount of Sculk from our Sculk catalyst. And that means I should be able to make a pretty efficient, fully AFKable XP farm. Right, let's see if this works how I imagine it will. So we've got a layer of stone, and then we've got the Sculk catalyst in the middle, and yeah, I mean, everything seems to be working. So if I drop these Endermen down a tube, then they should fall on the stone blocks, and we have got ourselves Sculk. A lot of Sculk. That's more Sculk than I was expecting. Now, ideally, I would put my platform lower down so that we would get better rates and then have pointed dripstone down at the bottom to kill off our Enderman. But unfortunately, I can't place the pointed dripstone on top of these blocks because they're going to be pushed by pistons. As we're going to have a stone generator down at the bottom there that is going to be generating plenty of fresh stone that can then be converted into our Sculk. Which reminds me, I just need to make sure of something. Do these drop XP when they explode? They don't. They don't drop XP. No, they definitely don't, do they? What about these ones? These ones were generated by actual Endermen. Maybe they have XP in them. I'm gonna blow everything up, but it's worth it for this experiment. This video is it's full of heartbreak, isn't it? You see, I was going to have the stone generator, and then it was going to get converted into Sculk, and then it was going to get pushed off, and the TNT would explode the Sculk, and then the XP would be fed back into me, and I'd be able to get tons and tons of levels. But sadly, that is no longer going to work. So it's time to go back to the drawing board, and I think I have a bit of an idea. First things first, I actually need to build up the Ender itself. So I've got myself one of these Endermites in the middle here. All of the Endermen will run to try and kill it, and they'll drop down into all of these tubes. All we need is a big platform, which we now have, and everything seems to be working quite nicely. And we have got ourselves a lot of noise. An awful lot of noise. I forget how loud these things are. This animation is insane, though. Look how cool this looks. This is ridiculously cool looking. Oh, we've got... Interesting. I did not realise that Sculk sensors generated. Is that going to be a problem? That might actually be a bit of a problem. Oh, another one's generated in the same spot. Why is it only generating in this spot? I keep removing it, It keeps coming back in that one position. I guess that's not the end of the world. Look, it's back again. What? Even after they've stopped spawning, this animation is still going crazy. I think there's like a lot of backlogged XP here. And just to double check, we definitely don't get any XP from these things when they're blown up by a TNT. This is something that I would absolutely love to be changed. Anyway, let's kick this thing into gear and see what it does. So we should start to get some stone now, and it is all very much being converted into Sculk pretty quickly. Okay, so we've got a platform of Sculk. Now the question is, with haste 2 and efficiency 5 on this hoe here, can I mine this stuff fast enough? The answer is yes. Okay. I mean, this kind of works. Well, all I have to do is put a weight on my keyboard, and then I can have automatic XP. It's not quite TNT explosions, but it's pretty good. Now, having tested this a little bit, it's still quite slow, and that is simply because this stone generator just isn't fast enough to keep up with my mining speed. So I guess we should add another stone generator. I gotta say, this was a good decision. I haven't actually turned it on yet, but it was a good decision because it looks cool. Now we find out if it was a good decision mechanically as well. I mean, I imagine it will be. Yeah? I mean, I can't see that causing any problems currently. Nothing seems to be breaking right now, which is good. It's in a stable state. Let's get some Enderman spawning, which is really going to add to the noise. And now I'm in survival mode. I just hold down the left click button. Is this working? I think this might be working, you know? This is twice as fast as the old one. It might be broken. It is not broken. That was a false alarm. And after a little bit more testing, I can confirm that this is actually a viable solution for AFKable XP. All you have to do is just rebind the left click button to something on your keyboard, then put a weight on it, and then you can walk away from your PC and you will come back to a whole bunch of levels. And even if you don't end up AFKing it, just using this thing is ridiculously satisfying. But what if you want to store up all of the Sculk blocks so that you can mine them later to get all of your levels? Well, then you could build a system like this one right here, which I constructed in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, although I can't help but notice I've definitely opened this in the wrong version, and yeah, it's removed all of the experimental blocks, but you get the idea. I was going to talk you through it, but now I've completely ruined this world, so you're going to have to go back and watch that video. Let's move on to something slightly different. Down in the ancient cities, which I just want to say are absolutely awesome. Definitely one of the coolest structure additions to Minecraft I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, this is just beyond awesome. I cannot imagine how terrifying it would be to actually go through one of these in survival mode. It would be horrifying. But there is a structure right here that looks a lot like a portal, and I hate to say it, I don't think it is a portal. At least I haven't found any way to ignite it. I even tried firing snowballs into it, and I've had no luck. I actually got excited then. I actually thought I had done something then. Anyway, outside of the fact that this feels like it should be a portal, it's actually made out of really interesting blocks. These are called reinforced deep slate. You can't mine them. Okay, you can't mine them. You can't even explode them with TNT, but you can push them with pistons, which is interesting. And this is worth experimenting with, okay, because currently they're unobtainable in survival, but potentially with some absolutely perfect timing of a piston push just as the TNT explodes, we might actually be able to break these blocks. It is so incredibly unlikely that we'll be able to break these blocks and actually get the items, but if we can, then I will be so happy. Okay, let's see what our timing is like currently. So the TNT pops out. Oh, it's not far off. Let's try that again. I have high hopes. I don't know why I have high hopes. This is definitely not going to work. Well, I managed to remove them. But they didn't drop anything, obviously. So if you want to get rid of these things, then I guess do that. But then they'll be gone forever. Experiment successfully failed. So these blocks are still very much unobtainable in survival mode. But if you were really dedicated, you could piston push them all the way from an ancient city up to where your base is. That would be commitment. But I guess if you used a series of flying machines, it actually would be quite possible, and I don't want to say easy, but it wouldn't be ridiculously hard. And if you did that, you could build an unbreakable piston door, which would be like the hardest flex ever. Just imagine you come up to someone's base and they have an entrance like this. You know, I would just turn around and walk away because I'm clearly not worthy of their presence. So the actual door segment is all finished and it is working well, but there's one extra bit of spice that I want to add into this thing. You see, when I said these things are unbreakable, they're actually not quite unbreakable. They just take 80 seconds to break with a pickaxe, which in my eyes is basically unbreakable. Wow, this is very old school redstone here, but I've given up on compacting it. So with that 80-second breaking time, what I wanted to do is add a system that moves the blocks around in the door periodically, so if you start trying to break a block, then the timer is going to reset, meaning you'll never be able to actually break through. And you can see that is all of this absolutely awful circuitry right here. Every now and again, all of the blocks in the door shift, meaning that if you were trying to break through with a pickaxe, it wouldn't work. Now the reason for all of this extra logic is to make sure that it doesn't fire that mechanism while the door's opening, or worse, while the door is actually open. So you can see our door is currently open. Now if I close this thing up, everything closes up, and it actually fired at the exact same time as it closed, but you saw it managed to fix itself. So now the only sort of attack that this door is vulnerable to is a well-timed TNT explosion or end crystal explosion as the blocks are moving, but that would have to be perfectly timed. Of course, you know, they could just mine around your unbreakable door. A door is only as unbreakable as the blocks that surround it, I suppose, but I think it would be best if we all just collectively ignore that, please.